Welcome to Wrap It Up. My name is Nonka Zumolotindi. I'm so excited to be back at the end of another interesting week full of rather different stories this time, the good, the bad, the in-between. But nonetheless, I'm here to give you that wrap-up of all those stories that made headlines nationally and internationally. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to like, to share this episode, and to subscribe to my channel. Do not be scared to give those opinions and thoughts on all the stories that you're about to hear in the comment section below. Let's start locally. Good news in terms of the Vaal water systems. So the Vaal River system's water levels went up from 74.5% last week to 75% this week due to the persistent wet weather conditions. I'm so happy. We could do with more rain in the Vaal, and I personally believe that if these conditions persist, we might reach that 100 mark and even beyond. And I personally believe also that the water shortage crisis that we've been experiencing for years, it's really going to come to an end provided this weather continues. I'm loving it. We could do with more rain more than ever before. Still in local news, unfortunately, a truck was burned on the R59 between Vereeniging and Alberton, and the driver described that as he was driving down the road, he saw some traffic lights. He thought it's an accident scene, only for him to arrive there and see 5 armed robbers instructing him to get off the truck. It's when he and his assistant got off and ran into the bushes and hid there. While they were hiding, the truck was being torched. My question is, why torch a truck? Why not take whatever you want to take and just bounce? Because a lot is at stake. I mean, burning a truck. How much is a truck? Let's start there. How much is a truck? Before we get into all the other logistics, how much is a truck? It's really unnecessary. I mean, this is what? The 5th truck that's been burnt on the road. It's really unnecessary. That's just my opinion. But give me your opinions on that story. And let's bear in mind that these trucks have not only been burnt on the R59, but other roads in South Africa as well. What message are these robbers trying to send? It's really unnecessary and uncalled for. Another trend that we saw is the revelations made at the Zondo Commission. I was shocked. The state security officials that were implicated in the robbery of 17 million rand. So, the State Security Agency was apparently skewed to benefit the former President Jacob Zuma and his allies. But what I do like is that Justice Chris Jafta said that the former president must obey all the summons that are given by the commission. He must appear personally at the commission, which is what I loved, and he must give evidence, okay, and also participate in all the proceedings. And I loved this because he is showing, the justice is showing that nobody is above the law. Nobody is above the law. So kudos to Justice Chris. It's going to be a very interesting week, and I'm going to give you an update on that story because it's definitely a developing one. Another trend that we saw is the Mpumalanga Premier Refilwe Tsipani appearing at the late Jackson Tembi's funeral without a mask. And her office said that she was oblivious to the fact that her mask had fallen off. I was like, what? No. A mask is something that's in your face. That thing is in your face. It covers your nose, it covers your mouth. Even when you have forgotten it and you're in a rush and you get out of the house, just by seeing somebody wearing a mask, you'll remember that, shucks, I didn't wear my mask. So how can you be oblivious to the fact that your mask had fallen off in an event where people are wearing masks? Nah, that was an excuse. But nonetheless, I'm glad that she was summoned to go to court, but she chose the option of paying a fine. So she paid that 1,500, and that's how she should move, as well as other leaders. They must lead by example. I'm glad that she paid that fine. Imagine paying an unnecessary fine just for not wearing a mask. How useless is that? But nonetheless, an example must be set through these leaders. Leader or not, premier or not, political figure or not, you must abide by the Constitution of South Africa. Nobody is above the law. Another trend that we saw is hashtag Shonisani Litole, who passed away last year after being admitted at Tembisa Tertiary Hospital, and he passed away due to medical negligence. So revelations were made by Professor Malechapuru Mahoba, who revealed that Shonisani was not given food for 100 hours and 54 minutes since he arrived at the hospital. Not only that, it was also discovered that he was diagnosed with COVID-19 only after he passed away. And thank God for social media, because, you know, everything that you text via social media or the internet, it never goes away. So there was also revelations that he had texted the Minister of Health, Zweli Mkhize, informing him that he was being starved at the hospital. And I'm glad that, he has called out to say that the financial officer of the hospital, as well as 19 other staff members, they need to undergo disciplinary hearing because he died an unnecessary death. Even his mom did say that my son died a lame death, of which I couldn't agree with her more. He died a really unnecessary and lame death. And although his life might not come back, but many lives will be saved provided that justice does prevail in this case. And on that note, may his soul rest in peace. Another trend that we saw is the South African breweries, SAB, suspending about 550 of their contract workers, the temporary contract workers, and even the Restaurant Association was saying that restaurants are closing down because of the alcohol ban. So I want to know from you, do you think that the alcohol ban should be lifted or should it still remain? Because this is a tricky one. I mean, if it's lifted, people still misbehave, and when it's enforced, there are reports of less chaos in hospitals and less pressure in hospitals, and there's less cases of gender-based violence. So it's quite a tricky one. I'd like to hear what your views are on that story as well. Moving right along, another trend that happened is of the rollout of the vaccines that are set to come on Monday. And the Gauteng Health Department did confirm that the first people to be vaccinated are going to be health workers. And then from there, they've scheduled that about 10 million residents of Gauteng are going to be vaccinated. When I heard that, I was like, 10 million! Gauteng! But we are a lot. But it's not a surprise. It's just that, yeah, I've always known that Gauteng has the most residents in all the provinces of South Africa, but 10 million, that's a lot. So I want to know, how do you feel about the arrival of the vaccines? Are you going to be vaccinated? If yes, how do you feel about it? If not, why not? Why don't you want to be vaccinated? I have mixed feelings personally. I personally don't want to be vaccinated because of reasons known to me only. But one of them is how the tests have been giving pros and cons here and there. So, yeah, I'm a bit skeptical. I'm still deciding. But yeah, that's just my opinion. How do you feel? What's your reaction about the vaccine rollout? Give it all to me. Right, the World Health Organization also described the 501 YV2 coronavirus as being predominant, saying that it's causing a record number of infections in South Africa as well as the other non-African countries, about 24 of them. And you know what? Let's just continue to play our part. We have seen how the second wave took so many lives and caused so many infections last year at the end of, November already. So let's just play our part and make sure that we sanitize our hands, we keep the social distance of 1.5 meters, and we wear our masks at all times. That's all. And then in sports news, Pakistan beat Proteas by 7 wickets in the first test against South Africa in Karachi, and it was sad. But yeah, we also saw another loss in soccer where Pirates capitalized on the mistakes of Chiefs as usual, and then they won 2-1 against Kaizer Chiefs. You know what? It's always the same story with Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates. Like, Pirates always capitalizes on the mistakes of Kaizer Chiefs, and they win all the time. But nonetheless, Gavin Hunt is still new. Let's give him a break and let's see where he takes the football club, and hopefully we'll get some great news. I'm still hopeful that Chiefs will bounce back from all these losses, and yeah, it will be a different year. That's a wrap up of all those news stories that I had for you. Remember to like, to share, and subscribe to my channel, and to click that bell for the notifications of all the episodes that I will be bringing to you. Have a great week. Shup, shup.